Hello students, today in this video I'm going to share you a very interesting story. This story is from the supplementary reader in English for class 6, A Baked with the Sun. So we will see this chapter 4. The name of the story is The Old Clock Shop. So this is the name of the story. So this is a story about a person called Ray, an old man who had a shop, an old clock shop, and one day he met an incident. So let us see in the story what happened, how he saved himself, who visited his shop, okay? So how he saved his life, we will see in this story, okay? So I will be reading the paragraph and also explaining the story. So here, just below the heading, it's written, "It's Christmas Eve and closing time for shops. Ray's old clock shop is still open. Two shoppers call at this late hour." So it was at Christmas Eve. Christmas Eve means on Christmas falls on 25th December, right? So Christmas Eve, it is 24th, okay, 24th December. And it was a time for the shops to be closed. But Ray, okay, Ray, an old man who has an old clock shop, is still open. Two shoppers, they got inside his shop. Now let us begin the story. Christmas Eve had arrived. As last-minute shoppers were going home, a thick white sheet of snow lay over Salt Lake City, USA. Yet the lights were still burning in the old clock shop as Ray, its old deaf owner, worked on a clock he had sold that day. So it was on Christmas Eve, and the last-minute shoppers, they were going home. And the city, okay, and the city, that is Salt Lake City, that is in USA, all the surroundings, okay, everywhere it was covered with white sheet of snow. Obviously, okay, it is in the winter season, okay, so because of the snow, okay, the snowfall, heavy snowfall, the city had been covered, okay, covered with a thick white sheet of snow. But the lights were still burning in the old clock shop that belongs to Mr. Ray. He was an old deaf owner. Okay, deaf means he cannot hear. Okay, so he worked on a clock he had sold that day. Now you can see the picture here. The old man, that is Ray, okay, and the other two person who had got inside his shop. Having finished his work, Ray stood up and was on his way to the back room when a cold rush of air from the front door hit the back of his neck. So having finished his work, Ray, he stood up and he was also he was about to move back, okay, move to the back room, but suddenly he felt a very cold wind rushing from the front door. Okay, why? Because someone opened the door, and from the door the cold wind or the cold air rushed inside the shop, and it hit, okay, the back of his neck. He turned to meet a last-minute shopper, but his old wise eyes told him that this was not a shopper. He saw two men, one in his 20s, the other closer to 50. So when he turned back, okay, to see, he saw that there were shopper, okay, he saw two men, okay, one was in his 20s, that is the age, okay, and the other one was closer to 50. Okay, so this Ray, okay, the shop owner, Ray, his eyes were very wise, and he felt that this man who had entered his shop was not a shopper, which means Ray can study others' face. Okay, by seeing the other's face, he can understand whether he is a shopper or he has just got inside his shop. So he doesn't seem to be a shopper. So he saw two men, one in his 20s, the other closer to a 50. The younger man remained at the door. The older man approached the counter with no sign of friendliness in his eyes. Ray was able to hide his growing fear as he slowly pushed a notebag and a pencil across the counter. So the younger man remained at the door. You can see in the picture here that younger man is standing at the door and the older one got inside the shop. So the older man approached the counter, okay, and he doesn't have any sign of friendliness in his eyes. So Ray was scared, Ray was frightened, but he tried to hide his growing fear, okay, and he slowly pushed a notepad and a pencil across the counter. He smiled at the unfriendly face, then pointed to his ears and shook his head from side to side. A quick look of surprise changed the man's face as he studied the notepad, then turned and said something to his friend. So Mr. Ray or Ray, he smiled at the unfriendly face because he is the owner of the shop, and whoever comes, the customer, okay, he has to treat them with friendliness, right? He has to talk to them, okay, and he has to welcome them. So he smiled, he gave a smile to that unfriendly face. And then after that, he pointed, okay, Ray pointed to his ears and he shook his head from side to side. What does it mean? Which means he was telling, okay, he was trying to tell to that unfriendly face that he cannot hear. He is a deaf. Then very soon, this unfriendly, okay, this man, okay, who had got inside the shop, he was surprised, okay, and he changed his face, okay, he changed his face and he turned back and he said something to his friend. To his friend means the younger man who was standing at the door. He said something, but Ray could not hear, okay, Ray could not hear it. Ray used the chance to look closely at the man, paying attention to the shape of a gun and restless hand in the man's right coat pocket. So Ray, he was very scared, okay, he was frightened, but he did not show, okay, that expression to that man, okay, he was trying to hide. Okay, so Ray, he used the chance, okay, to look closely at the man. He wanted to find out, he wanted to know who that, okay, who these two men are and for what purpose they had come to his shop at the last moment. So he paid attention, okay, and looking at him, okay, very closely. And what he saw, Ray, he saw that there was somewhat a shape of a gun, okay, gun was found, okay, he saw a shape of a gun in that man's right coat pocket. He was having a gun in his pocket, okay, and his hands were restless. Anger boiled within him, but it was kept down by an inner voice that said, "Be still." So anger boiled within him means Ray, he got angry. He was so angry, but his inner voice, his conscious, okay, his conscious inner voice told him, "Be still, okay, don't do anything, otherwise you will lose your life, okay, don't react to them." Okay, so he said to himself, okay, so he tried to remain calm. He wrote on the notepad, "May I help you?" For the first time, the older man looked directly at Ray and smiled. So Ray, he controlled himself, okay, and he wrote something on the notepad, and that is, "May I help you?" Because he cannot hear, he is a deaf. So he wrote on the notepad and he has shown to that man, okay. So the first time, the older man, he looked directly at Ray and he smiled. At that time, he smiled. A cruel, mocking smile. What kind of a smile it was? A very cruel and mocking smile. Mocking means making fun of. Okay, he smiled after seeing that notepad. They both understood why he was there, why his friend remained at the door. They looked like men. They were down on their luck and were now ready to try something they would later be sorry about. So they both understood why he was there. Okay, that is, the two men, they came to rob Ray. Okay, rob his shop or rob him, and they both understood why his friend remained at the door. Okay, so they looked like men who were down on their luck. Okay, and were now ready to try something they would later be sorry about. So luck doesn't favor much to them. Okay, but they were ready to do something. Okay, in order to get something out of it. So they wanted to try. Okay, they wanted to try in that very race shop. Okay, now let's see. The clocks tick on. Ray calmly wrote another message. Have you come to pick up a clock or watch? Then he pointed to the lawn board filled with hanging clocks and pocket watches. So the clocks ticked on. Tick means that is the sound, okay? The ticking, the tick, okay? The sound that is produced by the a clock, okay? So the clock ticks on, and Ray very calmly he wrote another message in the notepad. That is, have you come to pick up a clock or watch? He asked that question through written, okay? He had written in the notepad, and after that he pointed to the lawn board filled with hanging clocks and pocket watches. He pointed, okay, there was a board, okay, it was a loan board, the one who takes loan, okay, money. So he also gives loan, okay. He was not a pawnbroker. Pawnbroker in the assignment I had also told you to find out, okay. He was not a pawnbroker, but at the same time couldn't say no to the needy people who placed their old watches or clocks before him for anything they could get. Pawnbroker means a person who makes monetary loans at interest, taking personal property as security, which may be sold if not redeemed. Suppose you need money, okay? Suppose you need 5,000, okay? So you will go to Ray and you will ask money, okay? 5,000. You will take that money and you will keep your watch or you will keep some of your belongings as a security, okay? So once you get back money, you will come and repay him and you will take away your belongings, okay? So he was not a bound broker, but at the same time, okay, he never say no when people come and ask money, loan, okay? He never say no to the needy people. So who place their old watches? They always, okay, they give away their old watches or clocks, okay? And for that, okay, he used to give loan, okay, money to them. So from here we can understand that Ray is a very loving, a very kind person, okay. So he loaned more than he should. They would be there when the owners wanted them back at the same price he had bet with no interest, which means again the owners, okay, when they want back, okay, their things at the same time, okay, they will come and give the money that they had taken from Ray and they will take away their things, and he never take interest. Okay, Ray never take interest. Suppose he had given 5,000, so after 2-3 months if they come back and repay him also, okay, he will not take any interest. So then the older man seemed to feel a little easier, took out his hand from his pocket and quickly looked at the watch on his wrist. How much will you give me for this? The man wrote. So at that time, when he was asked, okay, through that notepad, the older man, he seemed to be very happy. He was feeling little easier, and he took out his hand from his pocket, okay, and quickly he, okay, took out a watch, okay, he looked at his watch on his wrist, and he asked to Ray how much will he give him for that watch. Okay, so he wrote, okay, he wrote on the notepad and he had shown. You can see the picture there, okay, the one who is putting a cap, that is Ray, okay, and the other one, okay, that is the elder man, okay, who had entered his shop. So he wrote how much he will give him for that watch. Ray noticed a little shame in the gray eyes looking at him. The watch was nothing special and yet had great powers. It was something to exchange, a way out of a bad situation. So when Ray looked at that very watch, okay, the watch, okay, he found that the watch was very old watch and it doesn't cost much. So the watch was nothing special, but yet it had great powers. Why it is said great powers? Because this is the only way where this Ray can save his life. Okay, so it had great powers. Though it is not costly, he has to pay more money in order to be saved from that man, because he was very sure that these two men, they had come there to rob him, and anytime they may harm him or they may take away his life. Okay, so it was something to exchange a way out of a bad situation. Knowing that great need had brought the man to his shop in the first place, Ray asked, "How much do you need for it?" The reply came back on the notepad, "Whatever it's worth." So they exchanged the notepad. Okay. Now Ray also wrote in the notepad asking him how much he would want him to pay, okay, for that watch. Now that man, okay, the man also written in the notepad whatever it's worth. How much, okay, the watch will cost, okay, he can give that much. Okay, so Ray reached into his cash box, pulled out a $50 note and passed it into the man's hand. As they shook hands, Ray looked into the man's eyes. They seemed to say, "Thank you." So Ray, he reached his hands into his cash box and he pulled out $50 note, which was a very big amount, okay? Big amount. That watch was not costly. It was a very old watch, which will cost just one or two dollar, or it may not cost that much also. Okay, but Ray gave $50, okay, $50 to that man, and they shook hands. And Ray looked into the man's eyes, and he felt that the man was very grateful to him. It seemed as he was, okay, saying thank you from within. They both knew the watch wasn't worth that much. Before turning to leave, the man wrote, "I will be back to pick it up as soon as I can. Merry Christmas." So they both knew. They means that man, okay, and Ray knew very well that the watch was not that much worth, okay, but he had given 50 dollar, okay, so it was a very handsome amount. Okay, so that man was very happy, so he took that money and he kept that old watch in his shop. And before turning to leave, the man wrote on the notepad, "I will be back to pick it up as soon as I can," and he wished him Merry Christmas. Okay, so he said that once he get back the money, he will come and repay him, and he will get his watch. But do you think that he will come back? I don't think, because these two men, they are thieves. Okay, they came to rob him, and it will be very difficult for them to get $50 and without doing, okay, anything with easy money. Okay, they got $50, so why should they come back? I don't think, okay, he will come back to pick it up, okay, that to pick that old watch. Okay, but he was very happy and he wished him Merry Christmas and he left. The little story ended on the half hour with the clock striking all together. The timepieces, which had been looking on silently all the while, rang out the time with such feeling that even Ray thought he could hear them. So this little story, which means these two men, okay, they went away from there. Okay, ended on the half hour with the clock striking all together. So they were there, okay, and they left, okay. And the timepieces means the clocks, okay. The clocks, they had been producing, okay, the clocks kept on striking and it produces, okay, sound, okay. But Ray is deaf, he cannot hear, okay. But on that day, what he felt that the striking, okay, the clock striking can he felt that he can also okay, hear that very sound on that day. Okay, so he cannot hear, he is a deaf, but The timepieces, that is the watch, which had been looking on silently all the while, all every time, okay, it seemed to him very silent because he cannot hear, but on that day it rang out the time with such feeling that even Ray thought he could hear them. So their sweet musical message was filled with hope, which means whose musical message, their sweet musical message, which means it is talking about the striking of the clocks. It's like as if, okay, this Mr. Ray, he felt that his clocks were giving him a sweet message, a sweet musical message. The message is that now you are saved. Okay, these two men are gone. Your life is saved. And there is a hope, okay, to survive. Now these two thieves are gone. So that is the sweet musical message, okay, that he felt. Okay, he felt. The timeless message of peace on earth, goodwill towards all, was felt by the three men who stood in the old clock shop. So the timeless message here, this is a Christmas message: peace on earth, goodwill towards all. Okay, so it was felt by the three men who stood there in the old clock shop. So here, which means Ray was a person who had good wills within him, and because of his patience, okay, because of his patience, because of his concern, okay, because of his wisdom, okay, he could able to save his life. 50 okay, dollar was a big amount, but his life was more important. Okay, so Ray didn't think much about that $50, but he thought of saving his life, and in this way, okay, with his sweet presentation, with his sweet smile, okay, with his sweet manners, okay, he could able to save his life, okay, and he could able to change, okay, he could able to save himself from that two men who had come to his shop. Otherwise, if he didn't have the patience, if he had reacted, who knows, the man would have taken out his pistol or his gun and would have shoot him and would have taken away all the money that is in his cash box. Okay, but he had saved his life, okay, by being good, okay, by being good to that man and treating him well, and also talking to him well, and also presenting himself well. So the goodwill that is in Mr. Ray, okay, saved him from that two men. Okay, so this is the explanation of this chapter. Okay, it's very simple. Go through it. If you have any doubts, okay, you can see the word meanings from the dictionary also. Okay, you will be able to understand the lesson very well. So thank you for watching this video.